All right, today we're going to talk about how specialization and trade can lead to increased overall production compared to when people just kind of fend for themselves. So here's a very simple example illustrating this. Right, so we have two people, right, Abe and Bart, and you can suppose that they're, say, on a deserted island or something, and they can either collect coconuts or get some fish, right? Both of them. Right, so Abe, he's a little bit better at collecting coconuts than Bart, whereas Bart is better at getting fish, right? So you can see that Abe can get up to 10 coconuts or 6 fish, whereas Bart can get up to 4 coconuts or 8 fish, right? Okay, so these points that I have marked here on their production possibility frontiers, right? The production possibility frontier for Abe and the production possibility frontier for Bart, those points represent where they would choose to be if they had to fend for themselves. In other words, if they couldn't specialize and then trade, right? So Abe would be at this point where he's getting 5 coconuts and 3 fish, whereas Bart would be at this point where he's getting 2 coconuts and 4 fish, right? Now, instead of that scenario where they're both fending for themselves, suppose they decided to specialize in what they're good at and trade with each other, right? So we'll ignore how they trade or anything like that. We'll let's just look at how much production there would be if they chose to specialize, right? So if they chose to specialize, then, well, if they specialize to their extremes, then that means that Abe would get 10 coconuts, right? Abe would produce, he would find 10 coconuts, whereas Bart would get 8 fish, right? So 10 coconuts and 8 fish if they choose to specialize and trade with each other. So 10 coconuts and 8 fish if they choose to specialize. That's the total production. Now notice what the total production would be if they didn't specialize, right? So we have Abe, he's going to collect 5 coconuts, and Bart is going to be collecting 2 coconuts. So that means that the total coconut production, if they fend for themselves, would only be 7, right? And the total amount of fish that they would gather would also be 7, right? 4 from Bart and 3 from Abe. So if they had to fend for themselves and they couldn't specialize and trade with each other, then the total production between the two of them would be 7 coconuts and 7 fish. Whereas once they specialize and trade with each other, the total production would be 10 coconuts and 8 fish, right? So they have greater production because through specialization, right? All right, thank you for watching.